Okay, how's everyone doing? Can't believe it's only 2 months away, right? It's been a long year. All right. So there's a lot to cover today. A lot of it we have already covered. A lot of it we may not get to. You may still have questions that I don't answer today, and I'll apologize ahead of time. There's just a lot to go over. Um, Most importantly, I think the number one topic is probably the visas. So if anybody has not completed that, I need you to do that ASAP. Okay. If you're having trouble still doing it on your phone, the best thing I can tell you to do, again, is find somebody who can maybe help you. And if you can't, go to a visa service. There's a company that I originally recommended called CIBT Visa Service, and they can assist. You're just going to pay a lot more. It's what was it? I think was it $20 or something for the Australia visa? So when you go through a service, you're going to pay for them to assist you, probably $100 or so, but at least you'll be able to actually get the visa. Okay, so please work on that number one. If you're having any issues, you can let me or David know. But again, I'm going to have to refer you to one of the visa services because there's just no way that I can help you do that, unfortunately. So,
Well, then maybe
um,
we can, you can send that to me and I can blast that out in an email to everybody.
sure. Yeah, no problem. Okay, a lot of questions, so I'll try to just kind of go through my list here. Vaccinations, there are none needed. Okay, there's nothing for Australia or New Zealand, no type of shots that you need. Nobody's going to request anything or ask anything of you. Okay, so there's nothing needed on that. I know you guys were just having a discussion on medications. I missed part of that, so you can fill me in if you want to. But basically, the question is always, do I have to take medication in my prescribed bottle? No, you don't. But on the off chance that you get one bad, angry agent when you're walking through security, they might request and ask what these pills are, So the legal answer I would have to give you is yes, you need to take them in your prescribed bottles. Do the majority of my clients? No. I don't know anybody that really takes them in those bottles unless it's a tiny one, or it's a small amount or something, you know. It, if it's a pill, I would say that that's an absolute must. You have to take every day. It's very important. Then take the bottle. Don't take the risk. When you're traveling internationally, you just don't know how you're going to be treated walking through any customs area. It doesn't matter that we're US citizens. We should be, everything should be very easy for us, but there's always the off chance, again, that you're going to get the one angry agent that day that just feels like checking everybody for everything. Okay. There's times, and I do it all the time. I have TSA and global, right? So when I go through the American airports, I don't worry about my little liquid bottles because they don't check. Well, I forget every time I go to Europe, they check them and they get mad at me and they pull me aside and say, why don't you have these in a Ziploc bag? So it's just simple things like that. It doesn't work the same everywhere else as it does in America. So please, if you're worried about it, simply take the bottles. It's to your advantage so that nothing gets taken from you.
Do you know, there's
Okay.
some in the chat about insulin and needles and bringing that either on the plane or what's the rules on that? Do you know?
I can't even legally answer that for you. I need you all to call the airlines directly yourself because everybody has different things that they bring medical wise. So it's up to you to verify with whatever airline you are on, call them and ask how that works. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? Okay. I can't see all of your hands because not everybody's on the same screen. So if you have a question, make sure to type it, and down below it says chat, and that's where you can enter questions and David can see the questions. Okay. All right. Online check-in. If you have not done this yet, it's very important that you begin this. Okay. Princess has an app that you do on your phones. Okay, it's the Medallion. Is it called the Medallion app? Somebody have it in front of them. Let me look on my phone. Oh goodness. Sorry. Let's see. Search princess. Okay, it just says Princess Cruises. I think it used to say Medallion. Thank you, Karen. It just says Princess Cruises. Okay, so you need to download that app. Yes, that's correct. You're all showing me it. Thank you very much. You need to download that app and you need to fill everything out. Okay, a lot of you like to do stuff online. You can do a majority of it within your check-in. If you've gone onto the computer and if you've checked in under Princess, you can do a lot of it in there, but you have to complete it and finish everything through the app so that you can get your green lane check-in at the end. Okay. If you get a blue lane or something, don't worry about it. Don't stress over this. Okay. It's just different lines when you go to the cruise that day for check-in. Okay. Probably a lot of you, if you've ordered your medallion to be picked up at the cruise ship, you'll get the blue lane. And that's okay. Either way, I know a lot of you have a major question on this. Let me tell you, the medallion, okay, if you haven't sailed with Princess before, it's the size of a quarter. Okay, it's just this little silver thing. It literally looks like a quarter, and it's a device that has all of your personal information in it, and it opens the cabin door, if I recall. Am I correct, David?
Yep,
Does it? Yeah.
it does.
So, as long as you have this device on you, okay, they sell on board the ship and even prior within your check-in, like a lanyard or a special watch or a little cover for it that you can keep in your purse or wallet or pocket. You can do that, or you can simply take it by itself. It kind of looks like an air tag, if any of you guys know what an air tag is, right?
Yep.
It's the same size. It's just a device that you need to keep on you so that you can get in your cabin. Like I said, when you go to order a drink, they register this device because it scans right to their computer when you walk up anywhere. Or if you go to the store, if you go to the spa, anything. It's like your old key card. Okay, but now it's the size of a quarter. This does nothing before you get on board the ship. So it really doesn't matter if they mail it to you. It doesn't matter if you have it in hand at home. It's useless to you at home. It's deactivated. So it doesn't matter. You can pick it up at the ship, which I think is a better way because they've been mailing them out to people for years and it gets lost and people never get it. And they only send them out 10 days prior. You guys are already flying out practically a week ahead and staying, a couple days. So if you haven't done that already, just tell them you'll pick it up at the airport, or excuse me, cruise port. And if you ordered it, it's not that big a deal. If you don't get it in the mail, you could always get another one at the cruise port. Really not a big deal. Okay, so please don't stress over that simple little thing. But I do want you to complete your online check-in, okay? Because they ask you a lot of questions that they do need to know ahead of time. I think they have a limit on it too. It's like 5 days prior. You have to have that done or they will not let you board, okay? If you have issues, okay, a lot of you I know have older phones. That's okay. Simply call Princess, okay? If you have a pen and paper, I will give you the phone number, but I will have David email it to you again. It's 800-774 6237. There's a prompt on there for assistance with online check-in. They can do everything for you over the phone, just as easy. Okay, so if you don't want to hassle with it going through the phone or the computer or anything, simply call them. They can do it for you. Okay, they get it. They know that their stuff doesn't always work or we have older phones or whatever the issue is. They will help you. Okie doke.
And there was in the chat something about what time is check-in or what time check-in on the ship. So I know sometimes that's different. What time they want you to be there.
It will tell you your check-in through the app. But I can tell you, unless you're in a big suite, they don't pretty much let anybody on board before 11. So I would say it's going to be after 11, probably around 12. But check when you've completed your online check-in, it should give you a boarding time. Okay, but I would just plan on noon, let's say.
Okay.
Okay. In regards to that, while we're on that topic, again, if you're going in early and you're staying at the Ridges, where I think the majority of you are, the plan is simply to catch a cab or a little taxi or shuttle or something over to the port. It's very close to the hotel, so not to worry. That should be quite easy. You can ask the concierge at the hotel or the front desk or somebody to call the cab company. Heck, if there's 20 of you standing out there, you can say, hey, send 10 cabs over because we all need them. And then you guys can just share going over to the port. There's also Uber. Okay, so if you're snazzy on your phone and you want to do an Uber, you can do that as well. They do have it in Auckland. Okay, all right.
And then a couple of questions came up of if they see green lane versus blue lane. That just really has to say what lane you get in to check in as they
Yeah,
board you. So no
yeah,
real difference. It's just their organization of that.
yeah.
And then somebody,
Sometimes, I'm sorry, if you may have missed something on your check-in process, towards the end, they're still going to let you show up, but they might just put you in the blue lane instead of the green lane. If everything looks kosher on your check-in, then they're going to put you in the green lane. If you have your medallion, everything's set, then you're good to go. But yeah, it's just a matter of which lane that you stand in when you get to the port.
and
Okay.
then there was another one, another question about seat. They don't have seat assignments on Qantas. So I'm
Okay,
not sure.
so that's my next topic.
Okay.
So flights, a lot of you have asked me about like your record locators, your seats, yada yada, everything about your flights. Remember, okay, and I'd say 99% of you have the flexible flights. Okay, that means when you purchase them through the cruise line, you can technically still cancel them up until 45 days prior or make any changes for free. But it also means that they do not ticket it with the airline until 45 days prior. So when they ticket it, they will give the actual legal names, your birth date, everything official, the money, everything, and you will be locked into those seats. Okay. At that point, you can do seat assignments and your record locator will be good to go. Okay. Right now, again, if you have a flexible fare, you cannot log on. Well, I shouldn't say you cannot because every airline's different. Most of you are on Air New Zealand or Fiji, those two. They do not let you do seat assignments ahead of time. And a lot of the airlines even charge, even when you can do seat assignments, they charge you. Okay. They shouldn't be for international, but they do. Sorry to say. Um, Delta, I think, gave you seat assignments ahead of time, possibly United. So they were all slightly different. You guys can all check your flight schedules by going right onto the airline's website. You can enter your record locator. It's on your flight information. If you can't do seats ahead of time, then just know it's because it's not ticketed yet. Okay, at the 45-day mark before your departure date. It's not the same for every single person because you're all flying out on different dates. 45 days prior to when you fly is when they will ticket it and you are from there locked into those flights. Okay. Now, if some of you say, well, I don't want to wait, I want my seats now. You can call me, you can email me or call me and say, I want a request to have those flights ticketed now. I simply hit a button, I tell Princess, ticket the flights. But again, you're locked into it from now. And that might be okay with most of you because you're going anyway, right? You already paid, you feel like you're locked in. But they just have that nice service of still up until 45 days prior. God forbid you had to cancel tomorrow, you wouldn't even be charged the flights. They're still free that you could cancel them. So it's a give and take, if you want that flexibility still just in case, or if you don't. So either way. But that's why you can't do your seats yet. Okay. But again, keep in mind, some of them still charge for seat assignments ahead of time. So be prepared for that if you are going ahead and trying to do those early. Okay. All right. Any other questions on the flights? Okay. The dress code, I know we've gone over. I believe David sent out a snippet, or I did a copy of what Princess, considers a good dress code. For the formal nights, there are a few of them. I always tell people it's kind of what you make of it. They do request that you dress up per se, which means nicer than what you normally go in for a normal dinner. But it doesn't have to be super, super fancy. So don't feel like you have to bring long formal gowns or tuxedos, you know. Guys, if you want to wear just a shirt and tie, which is easy to pack, you can do that. You don't necessarily have to wear a jacket. Of course, they request it, but they're not going to turn you away. They're going to turn away people that are in shorts and flip-flops and just look like they didn't even make the effort. So as long as you're putting in a little effort, you know, and you look like you're ready for dinner, then you're going to be good to go. Okay, so just don't put too much into that. Some people love it and they want to dress up, and some people don't. And if you don't even feel like going to dinner in the main dining room that night, you do not have to. Okay, there's plenty of other places to eat. There's room service, there's other venues, there's always the buffet. So just think about it that way. Okay. Also, everybody is on the set dining time of 7:30. Okay, I know some of you had said, "Oh, I want it early." Well, I I told you that if you're absolutely against it, you need to let me know ASAP. But please note that you're going to miss a lot of the square dancing because a lot of it happens right before the dining time. It's like in the 5 to 7 bracket. So if you want to make sure to go to the square dancing, then you have to keep the dining time of 7:30. Okay. All right. Gratuities. Most of you have the Princess Plus package, which includes your drink package, the Wi-Fi, and the gratuities. Okay, if you don't, just a reminder, you will be billed for your gratuities at the end of the cruise. They automatically put it on your cabin, and you can, because it's still a gratuity, you are technically allowed to have it removed. God forbid if you had horrible service, you know, or if you thought, oh, my room steward was horrible the whole time, maybe you want to give your waiter and your busboy money, but you don't want to give the room steward, you technically can still remove that, you know, or a lot of you like to give cash. You can always go up to the purser's desk and say, hey, don't charge me for the gratuities. I'm going to go personally hand them cash. You can do that as well. Okay, they can't legally charge you for that. It's still a gratuity. But just be aware when you see it on your bill that that's what that is. Okay, if you don't have it as your Princess Plus package. Okay, some of you did not purchase that, so just be aware of that. Also, in regards to that, you're all getting $50 per cabin as one of the amenities for the group. So if you have anything on your cabin bill, and you'll see a -50 if you haven't used it already through the computer for your excursions or anything. Okay, that
And
was
Linda,
added recently, so
yeah,
you
a
might not have used it yet. What was
couple
that?
questions are coming through in the chat. Everybody's going to get the medallion regardless what package because that's sort of their way of navigating people through the ship, right?
Yeah, again, the medallion it just replaces
It,
a key card.
yep.
It's just a device that everybody gets automatically.
And then for as they're doing their, it looks like it's the check-in. It's asking, I think, for an emergency return airport. Would that be LAX or Sydney? I'm assuming LAX, but what should they put?
It's wherever you live.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's wherever you're flying from. That's your emergency airport that where you need to go back home to. Yeah. Yeah, when you fill that out, you put in your original airport where you would want to be returned to if something happened.
And then I think you have the medallion. They talking about do they order it even if they're going to get it at the port? I think that's just a selection to say you want to pick it up, but you still need to order it.
Right. Yeah. Even if you chose not to, again, they're just going to put you in a different color lane. And then when you get there, they're going to ask you and they're going to give you one no matter what. Yeah.
Dining are, and we know that slate seating is their dining assigned tables that they assign you to, or is it going to be? I think with our England trip, we sort of had sort of an area that, but we could use whatever tables in that area. But they had a sort of set up in an area. Do you know? Or
They haven't asked me yet, or they haven't advised me whether they're going to kind of make it a round robin, an open area, or if we're going to have assigned tables. But as David said, you know, you're in an area, all the waiters know you're part of a group. So if you happen to want to switch tables, you know, or couples, uh, each different night, that
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
They're going to be fine with that. Yeah. Yeah. But if we end up getting assigned tables, I we'll do our best. I'll ask who you'd like to sit with. Cannot guarantee it's going to work out because we have a lot of people. Last time that was a little bit of a headache because people were frustrated they didn't get to sit with who they wanted or what. But again, you kind of just mix and match, and you guys are all pretty good friends anyway. I know you'll just sit wherever you choose
Yeah,
once you
we
get
pretty
there.
much did that. I'm assuming it's different for each airline. There's something to chat about. If something needs to be refrigerated and need to bring it on the plane, I'm assuming that just is you have to work with each airline of how they
Yeah.
do that.
Again, it's just legally, I can't answer questions like that. You have to call the airline direct and let them know exactly what it is you're bringing. What do you need to do with it? Some of them want them in certain containers. Again, some of them want a doctor's note or prescription or something with you. So everybody needs to call individually to your airline that you're on and inquire about that. Okay. All right. Time change. You guys do know that when you fly, you will be getting there 2 days later. So your body's really going to be twisted the first day. So um, if you're booking an excursion, I personally wouldn't try to book like a full day excursion right when you get there, maybe a half day one or something that starts a little later. Um, Remember, this is very important. And I know it's frustrating, but when you arrive, you're all going to get there early. You're going to get over the hotel. You're going to want in your hotel room, and they're going to say, sorry, we don't let people in till 3 o'clock. So you're going to have quite a wait. Okay, they're going to do their best. I have already requested from the hotel because we have sold out just about the entire hotel that they let you in early, but there's just no guarantee. It just depends who's checking out when, how full they are the night before. And again, you're all coming in at different days, different times. It's not as if we have all 130 of you showing up on the 26th. Then that would be a little easier because they know we'd have a whole hotel group coming in, but you're all coming in different days at different times. So I have just requested for each of you, an early arrival to let you in early. 12 noon would be great if they could even pull that off, but I can't guarantee anything on that. Okay. So just do your best always when traveling internationally. Stay awake as long as you can that day, no matter what. If you need to go take a nap, set an alarm. Don't sleep longer than 2, 3 hours because it'll just mess you up even more for the days to come. Okay. They are 16 hours, I believe, ahead of us. So it's quite a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know if on the ship, if Princess rents medical equipment like walkers or wheelchairs?
No, no, they usually have a good number of wheelchairs that you can snag. They're kind of on a first come, first serve basis. But if you need to do that, I recommend you set that up ahead of time. Um, I can get a phone number. They do have one usually. I'll have to double check that it's available in Sydney, but you can usually set that up in advance if you want to rent a motor scooter. But just on board, they only have a certain number of them. They just can't store hundreds of them. So don't count on using that. And I know they don't have any walkers. I don't believe keep those on stock at all.
Yeah, I think there's some regulations around those just from a safety device type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
and then somebody's asking about of the visas that we did online on the app. Do we need to print out any of that to have it just as a backup?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's on your phone, either snap a picture of it, um, maybe email it to yourself, then print it out as well, because we all know our phones, they can die. They're not always working when we need them to. So anything you can take as a backup, proving that you have that, yes, take it. 99% of the time, they won't ask you because they see it when they scan your passport. Okay, they can already see that you've done your ETA and it's just like walking right through. They stamp you and go. But speaking of that, remember 24 hours advance of your departing date, you need to fill out the rest of that information that New Zealand wants. You should have all received that as part of your ETA. It should give you the site or on the app or what it is you have to fill out. I I,
Y-
I
Yeah, I
don't
think
have that information.
yeah, I think they sent in the email they sent, it talked about deck relation, and I think they had a clickable link on that. So I'm assuming that you just want to try to do that before you get on your plane more than anything else, right?
Yes, or like the day before. I think you can do it within 24 hours of when you fly. Okay.
You're
So
gonna
yeah, definitely make note of that to yourself, and we'll keep reminding you of that before you depart as well. Um, oh, accessible excursions. When you log on to book your excursions, I know unfortunately most of them are sold out, but I believe there's a tab that you can hit or click on for accessible excursions because not all of them, have ramps for wheelchairs or things like that. But when you're looking for those, I believe there is a logo or a button that you can click, and then it'll give you the ones that do have accessibility. Okay, I don't know any off the top of my head. I'd have to go through every single port, every single one, and right now I don't have time to do that. So, like I said, just go back through and look for that check mark, and then it'll narrow it down for you on which ones are accessible. Uh, okay, my last big topic is luggage. Now, this is mainly for those of you that are on the land tour. Okay. Um, you need to do your best to take only what's allowed. One checked, one carry-on. Okay. Because and again, this is just for the people on the land tour afterwards. Um, they have advised me that they will not guarantee that there is room on the motor coach for any extra pieces other than David's because he's the leader and because he has dance equipment, that's different. Okay. From the moment they pick you up at the cruise port and take you to the airport, they will not guarantee that they have room for everybody to bring an extra piece. Now, there is luggage storage at the Sydney airport. Okay. You will be going into the domestic terminal because you're going to be flying from Sydney to Cairns. Now, if you absolutely insist on bringing an extra piece and you want to store it at the airport, just note you may have to catch your own cab to the airport from the cruise because if they don't have room for your luggage, they won't take you. Okay. And then when we get over to the cruise or the airport, everybody has to check in together because the tour guide is going to be checking everybody in. So I will be keeping you more informed on that as it gets closer, okay, as to what time they're going to pick you up. And of course, David will gather everybody and you guys will meet in a certain area. But it's very important that you do your best, okay, to have your one checked luggage, 50 pounds. If it's over, I remember, and I know we talked about this already on the land tour, the flight up there only allows 44 pounds. So they're already going to charge you $8 a pound all the way up to 50. So everybody's going to have to pay that. Okay. Um, but if you bring anything more, there's just not going to be room for it, and the bus cannot handle it. It's only built for 88 or 44 people per bus with the one piece of luggage underneath. Okay. Now, as a second option, if you're somebody that likes to bring a lot for the cruise, you don't necessarily need it for the land tour, you can have luggage shipped home. Okay, there is a service called Luggage Free. There's even a website, Luggage Free. They will come and pick up a piece of luggage for you at the cruise ship, and then they will fly it home back to your hometown. You will get it within about 3 to 6 business days, it said. It's a little pricey, but it can be done. So if you really, really want to bring an extra piece, or have extra stuff for the cruise part, you can pay and have your luggage shipped home. Okay, or
So
you
that
can talk to me.
there is a question, is the one carry on in addition to a purse?
Yes. On any airline, you can have a small piece in your carry-on. Yeah.
And then somebody asked about laundry on the ship, and I believe like all ships they have laundry. You just pay
Yes.
whatever it is. They usually have detergents that they will charge you. That's your medallion will work for that too.
Yeah. So not all cruise ships, but this one does. It has laundry. Okay. So yes, utilize it. And it may be crowded, but it usually has it on every deck of the cruise ship. So maybe before you do that land tour, you utilize the laundry. Okay.
And then can we from Globus or from the someone's talking about the carry-on size, sort of the there's the weight restriction, but then just the size of the luggage piece. Is it a 12 inch, not 12
Yeah.
inch. So we might want to be able to send that out
Yeah, we'll get that to you guys. Yeah. We may have to do a separate Zoom call for the land
to the
tour group.
land. Yeah.
I'll see how much information is needed, but yeah, we'll get you that information.
And then we have some
Okay.
questions about
See?
power conversion stuff of what converters you need to bring. I think some of that depends on just I think they sell stuff converters. I think most of the phones, if the converters have USB ports, I don't think that's really complicated. Or even laptops, I don't think those are usually. I think those are usually wired for. So I think you just need a converter.
Okay. So on board the cruise ship, they have regular 110 US plugs. Okay. But for the land, when you fly in early in Auckland, yes, you will need an adapter or a converter, depending on what you are plugging in. So what he was just referring to was that most of our computers, your phones, they have a USB or a US or the C plug, right? Do not rely on them having that in the hotel. You still need to have the regular plug that you plug it into, then you plug in the wall, right? It's not going to be 110. It's whatever their plug is. So we can add that into the email. I'll send a picture what the adapter is. For computers and phones, you generally just need an adapter because it already converts. Okay. But sometimes when you're plugging in like a curling iron, a flat iron, or any other type of device, it may not have a dual wattage. So you need to look on the cord or whatever the device is and see if it's dual wattage. If it is, you just need an adapter. If it isn't, you need a full converter. That means that's the bigger plug. It's a little box and it actually converts your wattage when you plug it into the wall. Okay. But you have to be very careful with that. I've had a lot of things kind of burn and blow up in my hands. So be careful of with the converters. Okay. But
Yeah,
again,
in London,
90% of our stuff, we just
I had a
need the
speaker blow
adapters.
out in London. Don
Yeah.
had a curling iron blow out in London. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to look at those ahead of time. Most of the stuff we just need adapters, which is the small version. It just you plug it into yours and it has the different plug on the opposite end. It won't be the big box. It's just the little adapter, the plug. Okay. I think I have covered everything on my end, but I'm happy to answer more questions if there's
there's
other
a
stuff.
question about just restating the weight limits for the luggage,
It's always 50 pounds.
and then
For
for the land tour.
your checked luggage is always 50 pounds. Your carry-on for international flights, they don't generally check. There's been a few oddball countries I've gone to where they've checked, but I don't think you won't have that issue going to Auckland or flying home from Sydney. Um, but for again for the land tour, I'll get back to you on that. We'll go over that, all of that, and I'll send it out in an email.
Perfect. I know there's some questions that again just reiterating about the dance in Auckland, and just to remind everybody, those that are going to go to the dance and they want to take the buses that we got, they'll leave from the Ridges Hotel. So you need to, if you're not staying there, you need to figure out to get there. They will leave the Ridges Hotel at 6 o'clock sharp. So they will, because they've got about a 20-minute travel time to get to the hall. So, and then they'll bring you back to the Ridges Hotel. If you're staying somewhere else, then you'll have to, through a cab or an Uber, get from Ridges back to your, we'll get you back to the Ridges, and then you go from there back to your own hotel. So that just be aware that the buses will be leaving right at 6. And I've got an overabundant. I've got 3 buses right now. I think that's a little more than we need, but we didn't want to have people be so on top of each other and crowded. So we have that going. Um, and then for the first night of dancing, I'm going to be sending out some revised information. I know I said on the cruise, it will be the second night that we're on the ship, not the first night. And I will be sending out a revised time for that because the original time I've got to modify because one of the excursions changed time, and I was notified. Carol asked me how I was going to be in two places at once, and I clearly couldn't. The excursion gets back way later than we thought, so we'll send out the revised time, but it'll be probably more like 6:30, and we'll dance for an hour that first night. So, but more to come on that.
Okay, do you guys have any other questions? Oh, I happen to be speaking to Princess today, and lo and behold, she says, you know, one of your bookings is not paid. And I said, baloney, I've made sure everybody's paid. So what happens is some of you guys go online and you might add on Wi-Fi, or you might add on excursion, or whatever it is, and then you forget to pay. Okay. That's a no-no. And right now, after you're already supposedly paid in full, that's a big risk that they will cancel you. So if you've done something like that, or if you log on to look at anything, do not add anything to your booking unless you plan to pay for it right then and there. Okay, I will email the person or persons who have done this um, to make sure that you take care of that. Okay, because I don't want you to get canceled or have anything happen to your booking. Okay, so again, if you're online, even during your check-in or anything, you know, if you decide, hey, I want to go ahead and do this or add this, pay for it right then and there. Make sure you get charged for it. Okay.
A couple questions. One, someone had asked about on the ship, like hotels or whatever. Do you know if Princess has hair dryers or little shampoos and stuff like that?
Yes. Yes, they sure
Okay.
do. Yeah.
And then someone's asking about the dance schedule in general. Lindy and I are working to get the finalized sort of, especially our days at sea, just getting those locked in. And once we get all the times that they're going to give us locked in, then Dawn and I will put together a schedule, and we'll have copies of it at the first night. We'll send out sort of a preliminary schedule ahead of time, but that's going to be that's coming. So we will have that, but we'll send out what the dancing is going to be, because right now it looks like we may have most nights we'll have two venues going simultaneously. So we're having to figure out how we're going to coordinate that. Somebody else asked about scooters. If you have a scooter, and I think this is going to probably be an airline phone call, do they count that as a piece of luggage?
No.
Okay.
No, but again, call them. They like to put it in the record because it's such a heavy item. They like to know in advance if you're bringing one, because remember when you go up to the plane and you step off of it, they take it down and they store it underneath. So they like to know how many of those they're going to have ahead of time. So yes, please call them and advise them, that you will have that.
And somebody asked a question about it says health insurance. So
Oh,
not sure.
so Um, there is a link right on your cruise invoice, the website. Okay. So you can get to it that way. Otherwise, if you've purchased it through Princess, you go right to Princess's website. Right at the top, there's a little search button. You just hit insurance or vacation protection, and it'll come up with all the general information. If you can't find it, just email me. I will send you the link real quick. It'll take you right to there. It gives you a full description of what your insurance covers. A lot of you have said, well, I know I bought insurance, but I don't know what it covers. So it's very important that you read that. You should always keep that phone number in your phone when you travel. Okay. If something happens when you're out on an excursion, let's say you trip and break your ankle, my first thought, I always look at my phone, I call the insurance and say, hey, which hospital should I go to? Because usually they have preferred hospitals in every single city around the world, or what's going to be covered, what's not. So it would be to your advantage to always have that phone number handy. But if you're just looking for general information on what it covers, the website gives a very good full description. So again, just under the search type vacation protection. That's how they term it. Or just email me and I'll send you the link and you can see exactly what is covered. And if you have not purchased insurance, you should have signed a form and sent that back to me. Please do so if you haven't done so yet, stating that you declined it. And hopefully you have some other type of insurance, whether it be through your credit card or whoever it may be. Again, get the phone number from those and always keep it with you and know, what type of coverage you have. I just had this happen to me on my last trip. My luggage was delayed for over 24 hours. Thought I'd die, but I made it. So yeah, as a woman, we die when we don't have our stuff with, right? I happen to have had some jeans and a sweater in my carry-on backup plan, thinking, what if my luggage didn't make it? And sure enough, it didn't. I didn't get it till the following day at the night. So your insurance covers that. You can file a claim. I believe it has to be some insurance are 6 hours, some's 12 hours. If you're delayed and if you don't have your luggage, they give you a certain amount of money to spend to go buy yourself some clothes and whatever it is you need for the day or however long until you get your luggage. Okay. Also, what is really interesting, make sure to have your receipts on your luggage. If you happen to have just bought new luggage, keep your receipts. Take a picture of your luggage before, after. When I came home, my luggage was ripped. That was damaged luggage. That's covered. So I had to take a picture of it right away, file a claim. So there's all kinds of things, that it does cover. It's important to at least attempt it, file the claim, and see if they'll give you any type of reimbursement for any issues or problems you have. Okay, so have those numbers handy.
And
Did I
some
answer?
people are asking about the badges, and most everybody it should be either have your badge. I know we had some that were definitely delayed. Most of them should be out by now, if not in the next week here or so, because he said he sent everything out. If you didn't send me your name, which I think most everybody did, how you wanted on your badge, let me know that. But I think everybody should have their badges. And so, can you dance? Somebody said, "Can you dance without the badge?" If you forget to pack your badge, yes, you can dance without your badge. It's just something we do to have out there. A lot of times people will wear them on the ship, and I will guarantee that the majority of the people on the cruise will know who the square dancers are by the end of the cruise, and they will come watch us, and they will, you'll meet lots of new friends. So they just seem to know that because we're usually the ones that close down the ship at night and are usually the first ones up in the morning. So there you go. But yeah, if you haven't got your badge, just let me know and I can follow up on what the status of that is. But he said he mailed most of them. And let's see, checking in the Princess app mentioned earlier. Should they do it now? Should they do the check-in process
Yes.
now? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, if you haven't started the check-in process, please start it. Try to complete it as soon as possible.
Yeah. I need to go do that.
You gotta go do that.
Last week, a couple weeks ago, I had only requested this from the people doing the land tour. But now that I think about it, I would really like everybody. If you have not sent me a copy of your passport, please do so. Okay. You'd be surprised how many of you filled out the verification form incorrectly. I know it's not intentional, but there was a lot of errors, a lot of things I had to fix once I saw your actual passport because things did not match up. Better to catch that now than the day you board the flight and everything's wrong. Okay. So the majority of you, because we have 88 people on the land tour, you've sent me your passports. But if you haven't, I would appreciate it if you would drop me a copy of your passports, either by email, you can text it to me on my cell phone, whatever's easiest for you. Okay.
And then land tour, it says insurance on land tour, the health insurance for injury and accident. So I think with the land tour, that was something you could purchase with the land tour as well.
Yes, that was a separate cost. Most of you are paid in full. There's quite a few of you who haven't yet. So if you have questions on that, just email me directly and I can discuss that with you, or I can give you the link again to review what the insurance covers, because that's a separate one. Your cruise insurance does not cover the land tour. That's a separate policy you need to book with the land tour.
And there's another, again, question on the visas. Do we want them to do the visas through the Google apps for those countries? I think the answer is yes. So you can get those apps, and just so everybody knows, because we did it, for those that have done it, if you haven't, when you do it, just give yourself some patience and grace. The New Zealand one seemed to go through pretty quickly. The Australian one, like for my passport, really simple. Dawn's, it took, we ended up getting my daughter to come help us try to, and we have the same phone type of thing. So it just, it was something funky going on. When you take your picture, it will show you how it wants you to have the camera, and don't smile because it gets angry if you smile. And and just realize that as you're trying to adjust, just look for it. It'll turn green. You're going to feel really stupid doing it, and that's okay. It's just, it's sort of awkward how they want you to take your photo. Just get a plain background behind you, but just be patient with it. It will work. So, and then somebody, how many drinks do we get, like cocktails, with the Premium Plus package? These are the important travel questions.
I think they limit you to 15 a day. But if you can do that, then high five to you, because that's a lot of drinks.
This is why they're going to know all the squared answers.
Oh, all right, Scott.
You can have some of mine.
Another question on that. Somebody said, again, there's quite a few cabins that do not have it. One person cannot purchase it without the other. Okay, otherwise they'd be losing money. So if you're in a cabin sharing with somebody, we have a lot of cabins with two women. If one does it, the other has to do it. So just so you know that, in case you wonder. Okay, anything else?
Anybody else have anything? Again, if we need to do another one of these, we will. We'll probably do one for those that are going on the land, just to get more specific. There'll be more emails coming out.
I do have one more thing. In regards to the land tour, I know some of you have paid in full. I'll be getting those invoices to you in the next couple days. And if you haven't paid yet, feel free to call me anytime within the next week. And if I don't talk to you or see most of you before next week, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'm sure we'll be in touch quite a few more times before February.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just a couple more things came in at the last minute here. Isn't there a drink allowance as part of the plus package?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. 15 a
Yep.
day, I believe, is the cutoff.
And then someone was asking
Is
about
it different?
how many are going. And I think
I
we're
think
at
we have
like,
63 cabins.
yep, something like that. Yeah, about 63 cabins. Are like at 120 some odd people, like 100, between 120, 130 people. And then there's also, just through what we found out, because they can't book through us, we probably got another 3 squares of dancers that happen to hear about the cruise that live in Australia and New Zealand that are going to be going on the
Dancing
cruise. And so I've been coordinating with them. They've actually been the people who helped coordinate the dance in Auckland. So
Awesome.
so we got a couple Australian callers that are going. So we're going to just try to incorporate them into that as well. So, and Julia, you said you need to talk to Lindy. Just send her an email and she'll coordinate time with you. And I think.
All right, guys, anything else?
Anything else from anybody? Excellent. Looking forward to it. It's going to come quickly. Start making your list. Start figuring out what you're going to pack. I know I need to, because it's going to give me anxiety until I do. And
yes.
And I'm going to drive her crazy.
Yes.
Because I hate to say it, I pack like a girl.
Yes.
And I'm learning that I can't for this trip. And so I've got to convince Dawn to take less so I can take more. And so if any of you have extra room in your luggage, let me know. I'll send stuff with you as well. So, I'm willing to share. So, excellent. Well, thank you guys again for taking the time. Yep. Taking the time, and again, just send us questions if you encounter anything. Just reach out so we can try to get those things ahead of time as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Lindy, for all your work.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, guys.
Merry Christmas,
Bye.
everybody.
Merry
Take
Christmas.
care. Bye-bye.